Welcome to the next installment in our Advanced Quality tutorial, the movement phase. Advanced Quality is not just about shooting, but also moving. This video will be dedicated to the movement of units. For now, we will be dealing with infantry. Our German 10-2, 4.67, and medium machine gun will show you how units move across the Advanced Quality battlefield, while our 4.47 and medium light machine gun will show what the non-moving player does while the player whose turn it is moving his pieces. The movement phase is unique, because while only one player is moving his pieces, his opponent, the defender, gets to respond or not respond depending upon his strategy. First, there are several basics to movement of units. Most multi-man counters have a total of 4 movement factors, or MFs, to use during the movement phase. Single-man counters have 6 MFs to use during the movement phase. Multi-man counters that start the movement phase stacked with the single-man counter also have 6 movement factors to use during the movement phase, as long as the leader and the multi-man counter move together as a stack. Multi-man counters have a portage capacity of 3 portage points, and a single-man counter has a portage capacity of 1. This represents the materials that they can carry. So Germans in this instance have a total of 4 portage points available to them, because of the multi-man counter and single-man counter stacking together. The medium machine gun weighs 3 portage points, so Germans can move without any penalties this turn. This portage can be increased, but then the unit will suffer certain penalties. There are 2 methods of movement that moving units can use. The first is assault movement, in which case the units involved only move 1 hex, and they are using all the terrain as cover. The unit will get full terrain benefit for the terrain they're moving into during the movement phase, in this instance. If they assault move into the open, they receive the -1 DRM for the FFMO penalty, but they do not receive the additional -1 DRM for the FFNAM penalty. This German stack has decided to assault move into the open. To do this, he moves the stack into the hex and says assault move to the Russian player. The Russian player now decides if he wishes to shoot at the newly moved unit. If he decides to fire, the German unit receives a -1 DRM due to his moving into the open. Since the total Russian firepower is a 4.47 and a light machine gun, it would be on the 6 firepower column, so that the German player would be subject to a 6 down 1 shot. Once all the shooting is done, and the German player has decided he is not going to move this counter anymore and goes to another counter, this stack is no longer subject to any kind of shooting till the final fire phase. Instead of assault moving into the open, he could assault move into the woods hex he is adjacent to. The mechanics would be the same. German player announces assault move and enters the wood hex. Now if the Russian player decided to shoot at the German stack would receive the full benefit of the woods, so the shot would be a 6+1 shot. He would be subject to subsequent first fire, but that is for another video along with residual firepower. Now assume the German stack is moving into the open. He moves the stack from L7 to L8 and says 1. After giving the Russian player enough time to respond, or if the Russian player says continue, he moves the stack to L9 saying 2. Now the Russian player has to decide again if he wants to shoot at the unit or not. This time the Russian player decides to fire at the German stack. The shot will be a 6 down 2, now because the German stack is non-assault moving for -1 and also moving in the open for an additional -1. The Russian rolls a white 5 and a red 1 for a total of 6. But now the Russian player gets to subtract 2 from the roll for a final modified dice roll of 4. On the 6 firepower table, this is a morale check of 2. The leader rolls first and rolls a 7. The leader stays unharmed. He can now apply his 2 leadership modifier to the 4.67 squad and rolls a 6. The morale check is +2 and the leadership DRM is -2 for a total modification of 0. 6 is less than 7, so the squad is fine also. Now the stack can continue to the next hex if he desires, and the Russian squad is placed under a first fire counter. But the machine gun is still eligible for first fire because he kept rate of fire during that phase. Now let's assume the German squad is moving normally and enters the woods in N10. The Russian player decides to fire at the Germans as they enter the woods. In this case, the German receives +1 for the trees, but -1 for non-assault movement for a 6 flat shot on the Germans. Since the German spent 2 MFs to get into the woods, he will be subject to subsequent first fire from the Russian squad. But in this instance, we will not be doing it because that will be for a later video. For this instance, the Russian squad will be marked with a first fire counter and subject to all the subsequent first fire penalties if it were to occur, but that will be covered later on. These videos are meant to be an introduction to Advanced Squad Leader, but the only way to learn this game is to dive in and play. Don't worry about making mistakes, just have fun with your opponents. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to look at our other videos. Please like us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Feel free to contact me at jdhobbieslive@live.com if you have any questions or comments. Thank you.